हाय हेलो एवरीवन। कैसे है मेरा प्यारा बच्चा लोग? ऑल माय वॉरियर्स कैसे? ओके थोड़ा सा लेट हो गया। ओके बिकॉज ऑफ दिस टेक्निकल इश्यूज आई कांट ब्लेम ऑन दिस टेक्निकल issues all the time, but what can I do? Okay, so there was so many issues with the internet, then with my microphone. I'm really sorry. Obviously, don't worry, we'll cover all the topics whichever it was supposed to be completed in today's session. And what is your duty? To make the chat box and the class with full of energy. Is it still there? मेरा बच्चा लोग, पूरा का पूरा बच्चा लोग, जल्दी बता दे, is the energy full on in the classroom? Hi, hello Miara, hi Shan, Shreya, then we have Pare, Shan. So I think everyone is here with full of energy, and your Ameer sir is also here, your physics educator at Unacademy, with a smile. And let's all smile together and learn this topic of rotational motion in today's session. ठीक है? Full energy? Yes, Shan. Pare, everyone. Abhinav. Yes, very good, very good, very good. So this is what I need. So if anyone is here for the very first time, this is about me. I have an experience of more than 3.5 years. I'm a BTech graduate from NIT Calicut, which means I was also a student like you once, preparing for the JEE exams and giving the hard time for it, right? Okay, then I thought I mentored many students, and this is all about me. And more about me, you will come to know if you come to my classes regularly. ठीक है? And if we proceed further, okay, this is the topic or the schedule for this particular month. As you can see, for various batch, here we are on 23rd September. We'll be mainly discussing about angular momentum and its conservation in today's class. I hope you do all remember the topics we have completed till now. Hai ya nahi? Hai na? So we'll be continuing, and we'll also be covering the topic of angular momentum and its conservation in today's class. अरे कल के लिए क्या है? कल के लिए क्या है? Tomorrow we are going to start with the revision series for the chapter of motion in a plane. So be there. We'll be discussing the main and important concepts, important formulas, and there is going to be Menti war also for all the various, and let's see who's going to win in tomorrow's session. Excited, hai na? I hope you all are super excited, and I'm going to expect everyone's participation in tomorrow's class. Then you know that top educators of the country are teaching in Unacademy Class 11th and 12th YouTube channel. You are already following them, and if you don't want to miss any of the classes live with them, what you have to do, be a part of this Telegram channel. The link is given right there, because all the updates will be given in that Telegram channel, right? So we are expecting every one of you, and be a part of it as soon as possible. Once again, the link is right there. Don't you think it's time for everybody to be a part of Unacademy and start learning with us? This is your best chance, because scholarship test is happening on 26th of September at 1 p.m. And if you're going to get a very good score for this particular scholarship test, you can be a part of Unacademy family with a very less amount of money. Or let's say sometimes if the score is very good, you can learn with Unacademy for free. And you just think about this particular situation, being with Unacademy, learning with us, and getting into the colleges whichever you are dreaming about. Won't it be amazing to make your dream come true? Yes. I'll talk about why subscription platform of Unacademy is super important, and why this is the best time for every one of you to join there. Because in the subscription platform of Unacademy, we all educators will be teaching with a proper schedule, which means we'll be targeting all the exams such as JEE exam, NEET exam, board examination, and everything is going to be in super order. Okay, which means you can keep track of all the topics that we are covering. And what can I say? The process of learning, this is going to be super simple once you start learning with Unacademy platform. Top educators are already there with the platform. Don't you feel like learning with them? Why it is so important to start learning with a top educator, those who are having a very good experiences? Because they know how the exam pattern is going to be. They know what are the kind of questions that is going to come for the exam. They know everything. So they'll be telling you everything. You just want to follow them, and if you can follow them, they'll be leading you to your destination of the colleges whichever you want to end up. Then study materials will be given to you. Practice test and live test series will make you super confident and will bring the best out from every one of you. And how much you have to pay for this? For 12 months for the subscription, it will just cost you 1250 rupees only. And will Ameer sir make you to pay that much amount of money? Bilkul nahi. Because here my code is there, AMB10. Okay, so memorize it, use it whenever you make the subscription, and it will give you extra 10% of discount. Wow. And regarding this iconic, I know that some of you will be thinking only these many features are there with Plus subscription. We want more features. For those who need super amazing great features, they should be going for this iconic, because you will be given a personal mentor. Okay, so the tension part you can avoid, because this person will be there to sit with you, to talk with you, and he'll be telling how to study, what are the different criteria which you have to study so that you can improve your mark. This person will be there, so you don't have to put headache. So the process of learning bahut aasan ho jayega. Then live doubt solving classes, especially for iconic subscription, will be there. Then weekly reports will be given to you. So many such kind of amazing features are there. For this, for 12 months of subscription, it will cost you 2333 per month. Do you want to pay that much? बिल्कुल नहीं, क्योंकि आपका पास है the code of AMB10. What is it? AMB10. Use this code and get 10% of discount. ठीक है? Now you will understand why I said this is the right time for everyone to make the subscription, because क्या चल रहा है, हाँ स्पेशल प्राइस वीक चल रहा है which can help you save almost 25,000. पैसा आधा हो जाएगा. So if you're gonna make the 12-month subscription along with the 10% discount, you get with my code of AMB10 extra 10% also will be given if you are making during this time period. So the time is very limited. Make use of it and be a part of it, because if you start now, you can complete your entire syllabus and you can rock in all the examination that is going to come, and you can have the smile on your faces. So yes, this is all about Unacademy. This is all about me. And now what is left? What is left is regarding physics. And if you all are ready, we can start with physics. Tell me everyone, मेरा प्यारा बच्चा लोग, जल्दी से जल्दी बोल दीजिए सर, हम तो बिल्कुल रेडी है. आप रेडी है तो शुरू कर दीजिए क्लासेस. Hi Sumayya, hi Sangamitra. Yes sir, let's crack it. Hi Palak. Everyone, are you all ready? I can't see that energy in the classroom. Once more, I'm asking you, are you all ready for the session to get started with a smile and to learn each and every concept from the nook and corner of the chapter of rotational motion? Ready Paray, Anupam, Nikhil, Shubham, bilkul ready? So theek hai, so hum ja rahe to start with the classes. So always, like always, whenever Ameer sir comes, before the chapter starts, he'll be asking you for what? Regarding the topics we have covered in yesterday's class. Tell me. The main topic of yesterday's session was regarding torque, right? Regarding the rotating effect produced by a force on a body. And tell me, what was the equation for the torque that is being produced on a body? Let's say you have a body of a rod which is hinged at this position, right? And you are applying a force by making some angle theta with this radius. What was the formula for torque? Torque was equal to R vector cross the F vector. We have learned this, right? One more formula for torque we have learned. How many of you do remember? Torque was equal to I alpha. We have learned this particular equation also. What is I? Moment of inertia. And what is alpha? Angular acceleration. Yes. And did we learn something else also? Bilkul. We have learned one more thing regarding equilibrium. Whenever or when can we say that a body is in a rotational equilibrium, which means the body is not rotating? When can we say that? Yes. I can hear. I can hear you. Yes. When the net torque acting on the body is equal to 0. If you have any confusion with the chapter of rotational motion, try to compare it with the chapter of what? Yes, the translational motion. When can you have equilibrium in translational motion or the linear motion? Yes. Whenever the force is equal to 0, the body will be in the state of rest itself when the force acting on the body is equal to 0. So here, when the torque acting on the body is equal to 0, we can say that this body will be in equilibrium. ठीक है? So yes, we made a small chotu sa revision, and can we also do a problem also from yesterday's topic of equilibrium? कर सकता है? कर सकता है? Let's see how many of you do remember about this torque, because for continuing with the chapter of rotational motion, we need this concepts of torque in depth. Okay, so yes. So let me design a small problem for every one of you. It is not printed question. Right? Let me make a question all by myself. Fine. Okay, कर सकता है, so that we can understand the concept. देख ले, हमारा पास एक rod है. Okay, so this rod is actually hanging from two strings. The two strings are connected to the roof of a particular building, let's say, right? Okay, the question is to find the value for the tension T1 and the tension T2. The other informations given are, let's say the length of this rod is equal to 6 meter, and the mass of the rod is equal to let's say 2 kilogram. Question is how to find out the value for the T1 and T2. सोच ले, is this body moving? No, the body is not moving. It is not actually moving. No rectilinear motion also, no linear motion also. And is it rotating? No, it is not rotating also. So what all will be 0 in this particular question? सोच कर बता. Very important. It is not moving. So can I write the total force acting on the body is equal to 0? Yes, we can. Is it rotating? देख ले, is it rotating? No. So what can I also write? The net torque acting on the body is equal to 0. So these two conditions are satisfied with this particular rod hanging in equilibrium there. For finding out the net force is equal to 0 and making an equation for T1 and T2, mark down all the forces. अच्छे से start marking down. Tell me which all are the forces available. T1 and T2 is there. Okay. The mass is equal to 2 kilogram, right? So where should I be applying this mass of 2 kilogram? If it's a uniform body, exactly at its center, है ना? So this will be how much? mg, that is 20 into g, 2 into g, that is 20 Newton downwards. Now I think many of you got the very first equation. Net force is 0. Net upward force T1 plus T2 is equal to downward force, that is equal to 20 Newton. We got the very first equation between T1 and T2. How many unknowns? 2. Can you solve this? Bilkul nahi. So how to solve this equation? There should be one more equation. For this, I am going to use the net torque acting on the body is equal to 0. Is it rotating about any point? No. So I am going to take one of the point and I am going to assume that the torque of the body about this particular point is 0. So I am going to consider that the torque acting on the body about this point is equal to 0. Tell me which all are the torque acting on the body from this point. Can T1 produce a torque? Can T1 produce a torque about this particular point? Bilkul nahi, because for torque formula is R cross F. But there is no perpendicular distance for T1 about this particular point. So torque produced by T1 हो जाएगा 0. Understood? ठीक है. Now there is a 20 Newton force. So torque produced by 20 Newton. How will you find? R cross F. What is R? This is 3. Cross F is 20. So 3 into 20. That is the next torque produced. And what is its direction? How will you find? You know how to find the direction of torque? Just take out your right hand and curl from the very first vector. ये होता है R vector and ये होता है F vector. So in which direction? You can curl this in clockwise. So what is the direction of thumb? Inward. So ये हो जाएगा minus. Torque produced by 20 Newton is equal to minus. One more is there to produce the torque, T2. So torque produced by T2 हो जाएगा again R cross F. What is R? The distance from the point of rotation is 6 and the force is T2. So how will you write? R is 6 cross T2. Positive or negative? देख ले. From R, if you curl the finger toward the second vector, the thumb is pointed outward, so it is positive. Bas ho gaya kaam, ho gaya. Now you just have to put it in the equation of total torque is equal to 0. Net torque is equal to how much? 0 hi hai. 0 hi hai. So what are the net torques? 3 into 20 with minus 60. Then we have, or sorry, here it is plus, hai na? Sorry. So 62 plus 62 is equal to 0. So 6 T2 हो गया 60. So T2 हो गया how much? 60 by 6, that is 10. मिल गया तो मिल गया, पहला पार्ट तो मिल गया. T2 का वैल्यू मिल गया how much? 10. तो सब्स्टिट्यूट कर ले. T1 प्लस T2 हो गया 10 इक्वल टू 20. सो T1 हो गया 20 माइनस 10. अरे 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 20 माइनस 10 कितना हो गया? 10. बस. Understood? Understood the method of solving equilibrium problems, everyone in the classroom? बोल दो बच्चा लोग, बोल दे जल्दी से. Everyone, Sumayya, Anshika, everyone, I can see the answers from everyone. Arpan. Okay, very good, amazing. Perfect. Yes, so I can see the answers from everyone. बहुत बढ़िया बात है, बिल्कुल बढ़िया. Now, we are going to start with our today's topic, which is kinetic energy. How will you learn a new topic in this particular class? Just compare it with what you have learned in the chapter of a translational motion and make the equation in rotational motion, right? Okay. Tell me, what was the equation for kinetic energy for translational motion? Kinetic energy was half mv square. Yes or no? Now, we have to make an equation for the kinetic energy for a particle which is rotating. Okay, so look here, what are the changes I'm going to make so that I'll get the equation for kinetic energy for a particle rotating. So half m, I'm going to multiply r square on the numerator. So if the equation doesn't want to change, I have to divide it by r square. ये क्या है? mr square हो गया I, isn't it? mr square is equal to I, which is moment of inertia. And what is V by R? How many of you know what is V by R? Isn't it? V by R is equal to omega. Yes, what is omega? Angular velocity. So V by R is equal to omega, and here it is V square by R square, which is omega square. तो मिल गया, हमको मिल गया the equation for kinetic energy, which is rotating, with a moment of inertia of I and angular velocity of omega. Bas, simple, है ना? So if you want to actually compare this particular equation with whatever we already know, देख ले. For getting the equation of kinetic energy for a rotating particle, you just have to replace it with its analog. मतलब kinetic energy half. Mass, what is the analog of mass? We have learned so many times, it is moment of inertia I. Here you have linear velocity, here you have angular velocity. So just by substituting with the analogs, we will get the corresponding equation here. Bas itna hi hai. Now, don't you want to make an equation for work done? Work done के लिए equation चाहिए या नहीं चाहिए? हाँ sir, चाहिए. How will you make the equation for work done? Obviously from the equation of translational motion formula. F dot ds. Force into displacement with the dot product. Yes. Now what I'm going to do is, देख ले, अच्छे से, I'm going to multiply it with R and so dividing it with the R. What is RF? R cross F. R cross F हो गया torque. And what is ds divided by R? Displacement divided by R. Theta. Don't you all remember this particular thing from your छोटू classes? अरे देख ले, ये d theta, ये s, ये l. So how will you make an equation? d theta is equal to s by l. छोटू classes से ले रहे. So हमको ये भी मिल गया, क्या भी मिल गया? हाँ, हमको ये मिल गया कि the equation for the work done is equal to tau dot d theta. हाँ, simple, आसान. Okay. Now we are going to make one more derivation, one chotu sa simple sa derivation. How many of you do remember from the chapter of work per energy, the work energy theorem, the equation which connect the work done and the kinetic energy from translational motion? Do we have the same equation here? Yes, we do have. Shall we also derive that? Yes. I know that many of you will be thinking, sir, हम derivation क्यों कर रहे हैं? To understand physics. Else physics will be like a set of equations which you need to by heart and trying to do the problem which will not be possible, because for doing the problem you need the complete concept. Okay, so let us see how the work energy theorem can be done. You know that work done is equal to tau dot d theta. है या नहीं? बिल्कुल. Let us make some rearrangement. Torque is equal to, one formula is I alpha d theta. Yes or no? हाँ. Again, I, what is alpha? Angular acceleration, that is equal to d omega by dt. Just like what is linear acceleration? dv by dt. Linear acceleration is dv by dt. So angular acceleration is equal to d omega by dt. This is linear velocity. This is angular velocity. Bas d theta. हो गया काम. Now we just have to do a small integration. So tell me, integral. What is d theta by dt? Angular displacement divided by time. हाँ, displacement by time is angular velocity. So this is I omega d omega. I d theta by dt is omega d omega. I तो constant है. Integrate omega d omega, that is omega square by 2. And let us integrate from a value of omega 1 to omega 2. So give the lower limit of omega 1 and omega 2. ठीक है, हो गया I by 2. If you give the upper limit, हाँ, omega 2 square minus, if you give the lower limit, हाँ, omega 1 square. तो ये हो गया I omega 2 square by 2 minus I omega 1 square. What is I omega 2 square by 2? I omega square by 2, kinetic energy. So this is K2 minus ये I omega 1 square is K1. So K2 minus K1 is equal to the work done. Look at the initial part from we have started and look at the final part where we have ended. Work done is equal to change in kinetic energy. We again have proved in this particular chapter of rotational motion also. बोल दो. Can I drink some water? हाँ, बिल्कुल, है ना? भूलेगा ये कॉन्सेप्ट, ये इक्वेशन कभी भूलेगा? बोल दो. बिल्कुल नहीं सर, बिल्कुल नहीं. किसी ने मारने के लिए आ गया तो भी obviously everyone will forget about it then. अरे सॉन्ग का टाइम है क्या अर्पण? पढ़ने का टाइम है. ठीक है. सो क्वेश्चन करने के लिए शुरू करेगा. Shall we start doing with the problems? हाँ, समझ भी आ गया, मज़ा भी आ गया, थोड़ा हंस ले. Let me have some smile on everyone's faces. Okay. So सबको क्लियर है, everyone understood. आ गया तो आ गया, सबको समझ में आ गया. तो a question. Okay. By using all the concept we have understood, let us start doing a problem. So yes, you can start reading with me. Those who think that you have understood the concept completely can do the problem by themselves even before me. है ना? Okay. A stationary horizontal disk is free to rotate about its axis. What is it? A disk. When a torque is applied, its kinetic energy as a function of theta, where theta is the angle by which it has rotated, is given by k theta square. What is given? Okay. Whenever you get a question, your first step is to write down the things what is given. So kinetic energy is equal to k theta square, Ke kinetic energy. If its moment of inertia is I is also given, ठीक है. Then the angular acceleration of the disk, alpha का value ढूंढना है. Okay, kinetic energy से alpha. Think of any equation which can lead to a relationship between kinetic energy and alpha. कोई है? हाँ, सोच ले. Yes, we have. Just now we have derived. What is it? The work done is equal to change in kinetic energy. Yes or no? Work done is equal to change in kinetic energy. Just now we have derived. Work done का formula लिख ले. Tau dot d theta is equal to change in kinetic energy, right? Okay. Change in kinetic energy. If you integrate, अच्छे से सुन ले, if you integrate, you will get the total, the large change in kinetic energy. If you integrate tau dot d theta, which is the work done, you will get the large change in kinetic energy. If you remove this integration, क्या हो जाएगा? If you remove this integration and write tau dot d theta, what are you going to get? Will you get the total change in kinetic energy? No, you'll get the small change in kinetic energy. How will you write small change in kinetic energy? Instead of delta, वो हो जाएगा d. Those who don't know, d मतलब small, very small. Okay, let me write one more small change. Okay, that d which you write with differentiation का मतलब है छोटू, इतना छोटू. Okay, tau dot d theta ये हो गया. Okay, now this can be written as d of kinetic energy का formula लिख ले. It is given here k theta square. Okay, fine. Now let us take this d theta to the right hand side of the equation, where tau is equal to d by d theta of k theta square. अब हो गया. अब समझ में आ गया? How many of you understood till here? And how many of you understood how to proceed right now? अब तो हो गया, कुछ नहीं बाकी है. टो का फॉर्मूला, हाँ, I alpha. What you need to find out? Alpha. So torque is equal to I alpha. What is d by d theta of k theta square? K constant है. What is d by dx of x square? 2x. So d by d theta of theta square 2 theta. सबको पता है ना डिफरेंशिएशन? ठीक है. So 2 theta. हो गया, हो गया, हो गया, हो गया. So 2k theta divided by I. ये समझने के इतना चाहिए कि इतना दिमाग चाहिए नहीं. You just need to concentrate. तो concentrate किया तो सबको समझ में आ गया. Sir, can I ask you something? बिल्कुल पूछ लीजिए आप. So बोल दे मोहित, चिन्मय, म्यारा, तेजस्विनी, हर्ष. वेरी गुड श्रेया, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. आई एम सो हैप्पी दैट आप लोग इतना मेहनत कर रहे हैं और आंसर भी दे रहे हैं इन द चैट बॉक्स. बहुत बढ़िया बात है. ओके, यस सोफिया, विथ फुल ऑफ लव. अरे समवन इज हियर हु इज एक्चुअली कंसर्न्ड अबाउट मी, नॉलेज एंड फैक्ट्स. ही इज आस्किंग, गुड इवनिंग सर, आप कैसे? थैंक यू सो मच फॉर आस्किंग. इट एक्चुअली पुट अ स्माइल ऑन माई फेस. बिल्कुल बढ़िया मैं. परफेक्ट. अगले क्वेश्चन. हाँ, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू थिंक next question, as you understood the concept, will be doing the problem before me? How many of you think? How many of you think? Hi Anush, you are back. Good to have you here Anush. Anshika, right? Okay, so अगले question के लिए हम जा रहे हैं. So everyone try doing this problem. Okay, so how the method of doing the problem, I'll tell you. Fine, just be with me. Moment of inertia of a body about a given axis is 1.5 kilogram meter per second square. Meter square. I is given. Initially the body is at rest. I is 1.5 kilogram meter square. Initially it is at rest means omega 1 is equal to 0. In order to produce a rotational kinetic energy 1200, the angular acceleration alpha 20 rad per second square must be applied about the axis for a duration of. Time is the question. Okay, how to to this particular question. There are two different methods. You can opt for any of the things. Okay, either you can use the energy theorem which I just told you. So everyone, that is a homework. By using the energy theorem or the work energy theorem, try to do this problem. There is another method also to do the problem. How? What is given? Alpha is given, omega 1 is 0, right? Time is the question mark. Taking back your memories, how many of you do remember this equation? V equal to u plus at from linear motion. Final velocity is initial plus acceleration into time. Is there such an equation with rotational motion? Yes, bilkul. Omega 2 is equal to omega 1 plus alpha t. We have a similar kind of equation, rotational motion. I have taught you in circular motion. याद आ रहा है अभी? ठीक है. So this equation I hope every one of you do remember. Now omega 1 है, alpha है, time has to be found out. What is the unknown here? Omega 2. The final angular velocity. Is there any method to find the omega 2? अरे देख ले, kinetic energy है, formula है, I half I omega 2 square, because this is the final kinetic energy. Formula. Put the values. 1200 is equal to half. I का value 1.5. Let me write it in fraction. 3 by 2 into omega 2 square. So how much will this come? 3 in 12, 400. And 2 2s are 4 is equal to omega 2 square. So omega 2 हो जाएगा root of 4, 2. Root of 420. मिल गया तो मिल गया. आंसर भी मिल गया, मजा भी आ गया. ओमेगा 2 मिल गया तो अरे कर ले जल्दी से. सो करेगा. ओमेगा 2 40, ओमेगा 1 0, अल्फा 20. टाइम तो अननोन है. 40 माइनस 0, अरे 40 माइनस 0, 40 माइनस 0 क्या हो जाएगा? 0 0 कैंसिल, 4 हो जाए. ऐसे बिल्कुल नहीं है ना. सो 40 is equal to 0 plus 20t. 40 minus 0, 40 ही है. 40 is equal to 20t and t is equal to 40 by 20. How much? 2. So ये क्या है? ये क्या है? क्या है? The time according to the specification given in the question. The time so that the body can achieve an kinetic energy of 1200 joules. कोई ने दे दिया क्या आंसर? कोई ने दे दिया? I don't think so. म्यारा 2 second, सारा 2 second. अरे सोनम, seems like after teaching in the classroom मेरा तो मैथमेटिक्स कम हो रहा है, आपको बढ़ रहा है. मैं तो बहुत स्लो हो गया. ठीक है, अगले क्वेश्चन थोड़ा फास्ट में जल्दी से करेगा. लेट मी सी वेदर आई कैन बीट माय ओन वैरियस. सो ठीक है, वेरी गुड, बिल्कुल बढ़िया. नेक्स्ट, अच्छे से पढ़ ले. ओके, अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्सेप्ट विद अ स्माइल. A solid sphere of mass 2 kilogram, yes, radius 1 meter, yes, is free to rotate about an axis passing through its center. Okay. Find a constant tangential force F required to rotate the sphere with 10 radian per second in 2 seconds. Okay. Let us draw it, okay, so that me and you will get a better idea. Solid sphere is given. What is the axis? Passing through its center of mass. You have to apply a force tangentially so that you can rotate this. And what you have to do? You have to make a final angular velocity of 10 within a time duration of 2 seconds. So as nothing is being specified, we have to assume initial angular velocity is equal to 0. Okay? Yes. From these, how can I find out the value for force? For connecting omega and force, what is the only way? Torque, because torque is a responsible factor for this sphere to rotate. So let us write that equation for torque, that is equal to R cross F. हाँ, इधर force आ रहा है, radius is something which we know, लेकिन torque directly we don't know. but write down the formula for torque. The other formula, हाँ, I alpha, हाँ, ये RF हो गया, ठीक है. R we know, I, what is the moment of inertia of a solid sphere? 2 by 5 mr square. Yes, I also we can find because mass and radius we have. Alpha, alpha के लिए, if we have alpha with us, we can find force. अरे देख ले. Be happy because we have everything required to find out the value for alpha. Just now we have written the equation. Yes, omega 2 is equal to omega 1 plus alpha t. Substitute कर ले. 10 is equal to 0 plus alpha. Alpha unknown है. अरे time को we could have substituted as how much? Into 2, right? So 10 minus 0, 10. 10 by 2 is 5. Okay. अरे बाप रे, अल्फा तो मिल गया तो सब्स्टिट्यूट कर ले. Shall we substitute? Okay. R 1, alpha 5, F is here unknown. I, we will get the value from here or somewhere so that we can directly substitute. I is 2 by 5 mr square. 2 by 5, m is 2 and our radius is 1 square. ये हो गया 4 by 5. Whatever you got, substitute. So 4 by 5. अरे हो गया, देख ले. हाँ, क्या है? 4, 5 तो cancel हो गया, force मिल गया, answer 4. So, like I told you, if you are so ready to look into the question, we will get everything required for solving that particular problem. हमको मिल गया है ना? So question will save us, or the concepts of physics will obviously be saving us. Yes, Anupam, yes, very good. It's 4. Sumaya, yes, it is 4. It is 4. Shreya Kumari, Anupam, badhiya, badhiya, badhiya. Very good. So keep up the energy in the classroom just like this throughout the session. Okay. Yes, very good, very good. You all have promised me that whenever you come to your classes, आपका दोस्तों को भी लेकर आएगा. कहाँ है आपका दोस्तों? So you can share the classes with your friends and ask them to join as soon as possible and tell them we are discussing some amazing questions from rotational motion. Okay. One last question before we start with angular momentum. Okay. A body rotating at 20 radian per second, okay, omega ka value is given, is acted upon by a constant torque providing it a deceleration of 2 radian per second square. Okay. At what time will the body have kinetic energy same as the initial value if the torque continues to act? Okay, let's start from the beginning. Initially, it is having a omega of 20 radian per second given, and to this particular body, let us take any body. So I am taking a disk which was actually rotating, let's say, in the anti-clockwise direction with an omega 1 of 20. What is given? A deceleration. Matlab, an acceleration in the opposite direction is given, that is minus 2 radian per second square. Okay. Fine, a deceleration is given. So what will happen to omega? Omega value will decrease. After some time it becomes 0. So how can the body have kinetic energy same as the initial? Initial kinetic energy will be equal to how much? बोल दे. Half I omega 1 square. I is a constant, है ना? So it is a omega which changes. So how can you get a kinetic energy value same as the initial? That is only possible when the value of omega is the same as initial. Omega is decreasing, then how can we obtain a value of omega same as that of initial, which is 20? Arre dekh le, the sign is not important for kinetic energy because it's scalar. So the magnitude is only required. Tell me, if an alpha is acting in this direction for a very long time, what happens? Initially 20 will become lesser. After it becomes 0, tell me, from 20 it will reduce, it will become 0, and again in that direction again alpha will be increasing its omega in this direction, है ना, which means after some time you can see omega 2 with -20 radian per second. समझ में आ गया? This alpha, what will it do? It is trying to rotate in the clockwise direction, isn't it? So by reducing its omega in the opposite direction, after some time omega 1 will become 0 and then it will start making it rotate in this direction. It will increase its velocity in that direction. After some time omega 2 will become 20 in the opposite direction, so -20. समझ में आ रहा है? So the question is, if it want to be having the same kinetic energy, it should be having the same value of omega, not the sign, just the magnitude, right? And it will be possible after some time t when it achieves an omega 2 of -20. Okay, now we need to find out for the body to move from 20 to -20, how much time will it take? Which formula? Omega 2 is equal to omega 1 plus alpha t. That same formula we have learned. Substitute. What is omega 2? -20. What is omega 1? Plus 20. Alpha, 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 alpha. Deceleration hai. So -2t. -2, go to the left hand side, 2t. 20 -20, it will go to the right, 40. So time ho gaya 40 by 2, 20 seconds. Bas. So after discussing till here, you should be very clear about doing the problems by using the equations of omega is equal to omega naught plus alpha t or omega 2 is equal to omega 1 plus alpha t, kinetic energies, work energy theorem and everything. हम बहुत सारा questions किया, ठीक है? सुमैया yes 20 seconds, श्रेया 20, yes बिल्कुल 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 बढ़िया, ठीक है. So I'm going to assume that पूरा वारियस को ये टॉपिक बिल्कुल से अच्छे से मुस्कुराहट से समझ में आ गया. So tell me, how many of you do have the energy? How many of you do have the energy to learn a new topic? एंगुलर मोमेंटम पढ़ने के लिए किस किस के साथ एनर्जी है? जल्दी बोल दे. एंड दोज हु हैव एनर्जी, लेट मी सी सम फायर इन द चैट बॉक्स. डन बिफोर यू, फिर तो बढ़िया बात है. जल्दी 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 जल्दी. हाँ, तो हम जा रहे हैं अगले क्वेश्चन के लिए, सॉरी अगले क्वेश्चन नहीं, अगले कॉन्सेप्ट के लिए, एंगुलर मोमेंटम. सो everyone is ready, I suppose. Yes, very good. Here we go. Now, what is the concept of angular momentum? How will we learn this chapter? So many times, but again and again I'll repeat so that you can understand. We will learn this chapter by actually comparing it with the chapter of the translational motion or the linear motion or the chapter of loss of motion chapter. ठीक है? There it was linear motion, ऐसे जाएगा चूहे की तरह, and इधर तो ऐसे, it will start rotating, right? Okay, there you do remember momentum, which was given by the formula of mass into velocity. What was the definition for this momentum? Momentum was defined as the total quantity of motion contained inside the body, which is dependent upon mass and velocity. Or if I explain again, if I have a ball inside my hand and if I throw to the wall, how much impact that ball can produce on the wall is actually being told by linear momentum. So comparing the same with the chapter of rotational motion, what will be angular momentum? The momentum with the body which is rotating. How will you make a definition for this? Yes, the total quantity of, what will you tell? The total quantity of rotational motion contained inside a body which is rotating. The total amount of rotational motion contained inside a body is actually called as angular momentum. Okay, and what is the symbol we use? The symbol which we use is L. Tell me on what all will it be dependent? For understanding that, just think of, okay, आपके साथ एक बॉल है ऐसे, okay, ये बॉल है और think that ये बॉल है, okay, अरे हमारा साथ एक बॉल है, तो क्यों नहीं ये यूज करेगा, हमारा से एक ball है, think that it is rotating about my hand, sender से, right? And if this rotating ball को, if I suddenly hold, right, won't I get some impact on my hand, right? Okay, so tell me on what all things this impact will be dependent upon, because this impact is what actually the quantity of rotational motion, which is angular momentum. So on what all things the impact dependent upon? For all those things the angular momentum will also be dependent upon, right? Tell me, if this was a larger mass, would I be having a larger impact? Yes. So angular momentum is dependent upon directly proportional to mass. Then if this was rotating with a larger linear velocity, would it be having a larger impact? Yes. But mass into velocity is only linear momentum. Is there some extra thing? Yes. I'll tell you how it is. Think of, this is a point of rotation. A body of mass m with a linear velocity is rotating in this direction. From the same point of rotation, another body of same mass and same velocity but with a larger radius is rotating. Okay, both are rotating in the same direction, mass and velocity is same. So that rotating body, if you try to hold, in which case your hand will be experiencing a larger impact? In which case your hand will be experiencing a larger impact? The one with the smaller radius or the one with the larger radius? The one with the larger radius. If anyone is having any doubt, okay, take a thread, tie a stone, okay, make a small circular motion, try to hold it, make a large circular motion. Arre baapre, you are getting that scary feeling now itself, right? If it's a larger circular motion, the impact that your hand will be having when you hold it will again be larger, which means the impact, the angular momentum, the quantity of rotational motion depend upon mass, velocity and r. So the angular momentum is directly proportional to r, m and v. Before converting this proportionality into an equation, let us move to the next page and understand a bit, or we will consider it on our own. So in the previous case, in the previous case we were having this as the direction of momentum. Momentum is mass into velocity. This as the direction of velocity. Yes or no? Yes. And this was r. They were perpendicular to each other, right? Okay. Now let us consider a case where the velocity is not perpendicular. Matlab, this is a circular motion. This is r. This is a body of mass m. Let's say the velocity is in this direction for the particle. Can you tell me, is the entire velocity included in the calculation of angular momentum? Is it r into mass into velocity? No. Which velocity will only be used? If this angle is theta, this will be v cos theta, this will be v sin theta. Tell me, which velocity will be used in the rotation of this particular particle? Which velocity will be used? Only that velocity perpendicular to r. Yes or no? Yes. So instead of writing rmv, how can I get the complete equation for L? This is rmv sin theta is the final equation for this, right? Or you can write rm, the perpendicular component of velocity. Can't I write? Can't I write it as a perpendicular component of velocity, v sin theta? So one of the equation for L is r into m into the perpendicular component of velocity, or dekh le now this is r, right? So I'm going to take the components of r. Let's use some different color. This is theta, this is theta, right? So I'm going to take the components of r in this direction and in this direction, right? Okay. So if this is r, which component of r will be this? R cos theta. If this is r, which component will be this? R sin theta. Okay. Now I have made the components of r. Look into the equation for L. L is equal to r. Instead of writing with r, I am starting with mv r sin theta. Will there be any change in the equation? Not at all. Now tell me, mv mass into the entire velocity into what is r sin theta? What is r sin theta? This was v, this is r sin theta. R sin theta is a perpendicular component of radius to velocity. This is velocity, dekh le. This is velocity and this is r sin theta. I have drawn separately here. So ab samajh mein aa gaya? आज समझ में आ गया. So r sin theta can also be written as r perpendicular. So for finding out angular momentum, r into m into perpendicular component of velocity or mass into velocity into perpendicular component of radius. This can also be done. Okay, it is very 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 super important. समझ में आ गया अच्छे से? सबको समझ में आ गया इधर तक? ओके, टेल मी, जल्दी से बोल दे. इफ L is equal to mvr sin theta, what is mv? Linear momentum. R sin theta. Yes or a no? Yes. And what can I write this as? Can I write this as r vector cross the momentum vector is L vector? Can I write this also? Yes. So this is the scalar equation which will only give you the magnitude of angular momentum. Let me write here. This will give you the magnitude. Maggie nahi hai, magnitude. I know that it was a poor joke, but still. Okay, so L is given as Rm, the perpendicular component of velocity or perpendicular component of radius, will give you only the magnitude. But angular momentum is a vector quantity and vector formula is r vector cross the momentum vector. I could have just given you the equation directly as L vector is equal to r vector cross p vector. If I had just given that particular equation, will you be understanding all these things which I have said? And if you don't understand all these things which I have said just now, you won't be able to do any problems for your JEE or NEET examination. बिल्कुल से बोल रहा हूँ, because just by having this direct equation of r vector cross p vector is gonna do anything. No, it is gonna do anything for doing the problems. Okay, ठीक है. So I don't think I have to ask you what kind of a quantity is angular momentum. पूछना है, पूछने की जरूरत भी नहीं है, क्योंकि it is a cross product of two vectors r and p. So it is a vector quantity. It is a vector quantity. L vector is equal to r vector cross the p vector is vector quantity. Okay, and what is its unit? Momentum is equal to mass meter per second and r is also meter, so meter square second inverse, right? Okay, then और कुछ है? Yes. How to find the direction? Let's say this is r and this is the direction of momentum, which is equal to mass into velocity vector. How will you find the direction of angular momentum? Right hand thumb rule, right hand le. Start curling your fingers in this direction from the first vector r toward the second. So how you're curling? Anti-clockwise. What is the direction of thumb? Thumb का direction बता दे. Outwards. है या नहीं? है या नहीं? बिल्कुल. So here in this case, the direction of L is equal to L का direction है k cap. Okay, we're just giving you an example so that you can find out. Is the concept clear? Are you super confident about this? Those who want to note it down, jaldi se note down kar le, please. It's very important. And please do let me know that, sir, you are good to go. We can start with the problems. Tell me that, then I can start with the questions. Okay, so one more. Okay, I'm really sorry. One more equation has to be derived. Arre. Baap re, main bhool gaya. Okay, so this particular equation of L is equal to I omega we have to write. Tell me, what is the equation for L? We just know r cross p or r mv sin theta. Let's say theta is equal to 90. So let's keep it there. So R M V. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this equation by R and divide this particular equation by R. क्या हो गया? M R square V by R. M R square I and V by R omega. So L का value हो गया I omega. So from here you can directly say whatever is the unit of, whatever is the direction of angular momentum is same as the direction of what? Omega. Omega का direction पे भी है the direction of angular momentum. Another important. After seeing this equation, does this remind you of any other equation which you have learned? Don't you think this equation is very much similar to what we have learned? The linear momentum is mass into velocity. For linear, here we have angular, and for mass we have its respective analog I, and for velocity we have its analog as omega. Didn't I tell you, just compare the chapter with the linear motion, आसान हो जाएगा. So do you have to actually by heart this formula? बिल्कुल नहीं, because you already know momentum is equal to mass into velocity. Just substitute each and every term with its analog. हमका equation for angular momentum ऐसे ही आ जाएगा. Okay, so I hope now you started to believe me, right? When I said just compare it with linear motion at the learn. Okay, अभी आ रहा है ना, देख सकते हैं आप लोगों को. हाँ, so अभी we can start doing the problems. Okay, अभी हमको कर सकता है क्वेश्चन का शुरू करना. करेगा? हाँ, क्वेश्चन आ गया पहला. अरे करने के लिए फैंस ऑफ अमीर सर. अरे अरे बोल दे, जल्दी बोल दे. रेडी है तो वील स्टार्ट. बोल दो. जय हिंद सर, हम शुरू करेगा अभी. सॉन्ग. अरे I am like we'll do the next question and someone is like sir please song. एंटरटेनमेंट तो हो जाएगा. ओके, अभी नहीं, अभी पढ़ने का टाइम है ना. पढ़ने के टाइम हम पढ़ना ही चाहिए. Yes Anshika, yes Anupam, yes Lankesh. Questions please. Myara is asking me. Mohanlal भी है. So Mohanlal is an sir आप Unacademy पर बी फ्री में पढ़ाता हो. हम तो ऐसे ही है. ओके, सो यस, शुरू करेगा एवरीवन. देख ले, one by one we'll solve it. A rod of mass 2 kilogram, mass, length 2 meter, is rotating about its one end. Okay. How many of you have understood why this particular statement is separately given? It's one end. How many of you understood why it is separately given? Think. So with an angular velocity omega, okay, find angular momentum of the rod about the axis. We have two equations for angular momentum. Which one will we use? There is no confusion in that because omega is directly given, so we can use a formula for L as I omega. Yes, बिल्कुल. Omega का value substitute कर ले 4 I. Now it is for finding out the value of I, the axis, the specification of the axis is given. देख ले, we have the rod and it is rotating about its end. Only if the axis is specified, we can find out the value of I. I का value. Is it ml square by 12? Is it ml square by 12? अरे सोच ले, दिमाग से सोच ले, खुलकर सोच ले. ml square by 12 was the moment of inertia about the center of mass. ये अभी center of mass के बारे में है क्या? नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. It is about an axis passing through its end. इसी वाले का moment of inertia पूछ रहा है. हाँ, बोल दे. Is anyone giving me the answer in the chat box? कोई नहीं दे रहा है. कोई नहीं दे रहा है. I told you to come to the classroom after learning the concept. कोई नहीं कर रहा है ना? So it is mL²/3. हाँ अभी बोलते हैं हाँ सर मुझे भी आता है, हाँ सर मुझे भी आता है, अभी बोला है मुझे भी पता है, पढ़कर आ जा अगले क्लास के लिए, ठीक है। ओके सो m इज हाउ मच 2, l कितना है 2 अगेन, सो 2² 4/3 है ना, मास भी 2 है, लेंथ भी 2 है, सो 2 2 जार 4 2 जार 8/3 हो गया, सो दिस इज 8/3, so ये हो गया 32/3. And is there any method by which we can find out the direction? Rod of a length is rotating about nothing is being given regarding the direction of omega, so we cannot find the direction of L also, so I have to put this in between two lines. Matlab 32/3 is just the magnitude of angular momentum, we don't have the direction, so we cannot simply say that the angular momentum is 32/3 because it is incomplete without direction. Okay, so अगले क्वेश्चन सर, अगले क्वेश्चन चाहिए. ओके दिस पता नहीं ये उधर जाना पड़ेगा, समटाइम्स इधर जाना पड़ेगा, ये एरो मार्क ऐसे ऐसे घूमता रहता है, पता नहीं क्या करूं. अगले क्वेश्चन पढ़ ले मेरे साथ. आई विल टेक अ सिप ऑफ वाटर. A particle of mass 1 kilogram is moving along the line y is equal to x plus 2. अरे ये कैसे करेगा, सोच ले मेरे साथ. with speed 2 meter per second, mass is given, speed is given, velocity का direction is along that line वो भी given है, magnitude how, thank god magnitude we just have to find out, direction is gone, ठीक है, that is 1/2 of relaxing part we have. Magnitude of angular momentum of particle about the origin. Okay, shall we try finding out? Okay, first let us draw our coordinate system. Mass is given, speed is given, and the speed is acting along the line y equal to x plus 2. करेगा y equal to x plus 2. I hope you know how to find out the line of y equal to x plus 2. Put x equal to 0. When x is equal to 0, y value हो जाएगा. Put x equal to 0, y will be 2. So here. And put y equal to 0, so x will be equal to -2. So we got the 2 points, right? So yes, draw a straight line connecting the 2 points. So this is the direction of velocity 2 meter per second. Okay, mass also we have 1 kilogram. Okay, हमारा साथ क्या करना है, L करना है. L का फॉर्मूला mv/r sin theta. Okay, about which point, origin वो भी दे दिया है. So देख ले, mass into velocity into r sin theta. Do you remember, did I tell you something? Yes, that is the perpendicular component of r. Now देख ले, without me giving that explanation about the equation of angular momentum, do you think will you be able to do the problem? No. So start substituting. Mass 1, speed 2, are a perpendicular component of r to this line which is the direction of velocity. How will you draw perpendicular? कर ले, ये हो गया perpendicular. This is 2. How? From the line y equal to x plus 2, when x is equal to 0, y is 2. And when y equal to 0, x is equal to -2, मतलब ये भी 2 है. ये 2 है, ये 2 है. So this will be how much? ये angle कितना हो जाएगा? 45. Why? Because if you take the complete triangle of ABC, what kind of a triangle it is? Triangle ABC, if you want me to write, ABC is a right angle triangle, right? Where the C is 90. As the other two sides are same, the angles will also be the same, which means this angle will be 45. Yes or no? Now can I find out this perpendicular distance? ये कर सकता है? हाँ बिल्कुल. So sin 45 ले ले. Sin 45 is equal to opposite, the one which we want, that perpendicular distance from the point of from where we have to find the angular momentum to the direction of velocity. ठीक है. So हमारा पास x है और हमारा पास मिलना चाहिए x. So x divided by hypotenuse, this is 90, so this is hypotenuse. Now we are considering the small triangle, okay? This is not from ABC triangle, this is the triangle DBC. Triangle DBC say, I am writing this equation of sine 45. I don't want you to get confused. So sine 45 is x divided by hypotenuse is 2. So x is equal to sine 45 is 1 by root 2. ये 2 ऊपर हो जाएगा. So अब क्या है? 2 by root 2. 2 by root 2, 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 2 by root 2 root 2. है ना? कैंसिल हो जाएगा. अरे मैं नहीं एक्सप्लेन करेगा वो if you don't know. ठीक है. So r perpendicular. हाँ, r perpendicular root 2 मिल गया. So आंसर भी मिल गया, मज़ा भी आ गया, खुशी भी आना ही चाहिए. 2 root 2 बस. बोल दे. हाँ सर, बिल्कुल अच्छे से समझ में आ गया, मज़ा भी आ गया. जल्दी बोल दे, जल्दी बोल दे. रोताश बहुत लेट हो गया आप. We started by 8 and now it is 9:11. इतना लेट कौन होता है? कोई बात नहीं, प्लीज डू वॉच द रिप्ले. ओके रोताश. एनीबडी गेव मी द आंसर? 2 root 2 म्यारा दे दिया, सोफिया दे दिया. और कौन? लंगेश रावण आंसर नहीं है. आंसर नहीं है तो बिल्कुल गलत की बात है. किसके पास आंसर नहीं है? So I hope you all understood apart from the simple funny talks, right? Okay. Okay. So great. Shall we proceed? Proceed कर सकता है. हाँ. अब हो गया conservation of angular momentum. What can you see? Someone is dancing, the ballet dancer. How many of you know ballet dancing? Ballet dancing, which means or how many of you might have seen this, or at least you might be having some idea ना इधर उधर. तो while you might have changing the channel, देखता ही होगा that a lady will be like rotating on the legs. I'm not gonna do because ये entire setup गिर जाएगा मेरे ऊपर. Okay, so you might have seen this ballet dancer. So this particular ballet dancer, how many of you have seen this? If the ballet dancer, if she is closing in her hands, okay, instead of spreading it, if she closes in her hands, she'll be rotating with a faster, larger omega, or she'll be rotating faster, and the moment she expands her hand, she'll be rotating slowly, which means the omega value will decrease. How she is able to control the omega? Just by spreading out the arms and taking it inside. Jana chahiye na? That will be explained and you will get an idea about it once you know what is the conservation of angular momentum. Angular momentum का conservation का मतलब क्या है? हाँ, it is very simple. When is the angular momentum is going to be a constant? So shall we find out? Okay, देख ले. So for this, स्पेस नहीं है. ऐसे कैसे है? स्पेस क्यों नहीं है? We need a small space to do the workout. Space आ जाओ space. हाँ, मिल गया. Okay, so the first thing is we need to find out what angular momentum is actually dependent upon. Okay, then only we can talk about when this angular momentum is conserved or when the angular momentum is going to be a constant throughout. Okay, so देख ले. First, tell me what is the equation for torque. Torque का equation क्या है? हाँ. Torque is having an equation of R cross F, है ना? Okay, so R cross F का value हो गया ma. So you have R, you have mass, you have acceleration. Yes or no? Okay, so R, m, what is a linear acceleration? dv by dt. कोई गड़बड़ है? Torque is R cross F, F is equal to ma, Rm into what is acceleration? dv by dt, है ना? कोई गलती है? कोई गलती नहीं है ना? Okay. Now what I am going to do is I am going to multiply this equation with R and divided by r. Once you multiply, m r square हो जाएगा. I'll write it here. m r square, m r into r square. This will become d by dt of, I'm taking this r inside this differentiation, v by r. अभी भी कोई गलती नहीं है, समझ में आ गया? Okay. m r square I. What is d by dt of v by r? अरे velocity by r हो गया omega, so d by dt of omega, है ना? Now take this I inside this differentiation. So we'll continue here. Tau is equal to d by dt of I omega. किधर किधर देखा है क्या? Have you seen what is I omega anywhere? इधर उधर देखा है क्या? I omega सर हम तो, हाँ बिल्कुल, I omega is angular momentum. Torque is equal to dl divided by dt. हमको मिल गया an equation surprisingly between torque and angular momentum. Sir, you don't have to say surprisingly, we already knew. How did you know that there is an equation connecting between torque and angular momentum? Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Connect with the equation that you have learned in, where? In your chota classes? No. In your loss of motion chapter or rectilinear motion chapter. Force was differential of linear momentum. Force का एनालॉग है टॉर्क, लीनियर मोमेंटम का एनालॉग है एंगुलर मोमेंटम. आई टोल्ड यू, जस्ट लर्न द वेरी फर्स्ट चैप्टर ऑफ लॉस ऑफ मोशन. ये चैप्टर ऐसे ही आ जाएगा, सेम कॉन्सेप्ट. अंडरस्टूड? टॉर्क इज इक्वल टू dl divided by dt. Now, how many of you can tell me when can I conserve angular momentum? Angular momentum conservation का मतलब, when can the angular momentum is going to be a constant? Is there any method? कोई method है क्या? अरे देख ले, by using this same equation, of torque is equal to dl divided by dt. Let's say, take a case where torque is equal to 0. If the net torque acting on the body is equal to 0, for any case, what will happen to the left hand side of the equation? वो हो जाएगा 0. Then right hand side is dl by dt. If the left hand side is 0, right hand side numerator will also be 0. मतलब dl हो गया 0. dl का मतलब क्या है? dl का मतलब क्या है? dl means change in L or angular momentum, that is 0. अरे change in angular momentum मतलब L2 minus L1 is 0, मतलब L2 equal to L1. इसका मतलब क्या है? हाँ, I don't have to explain, है ना? L2 is equal to L1 मतलब, हाँ, when the torque acting on the body, any body is equal to 0, angular momentum is going to be a constant for that particular body. We just have proved conservation of angular momentum. Tell me, when is the linear momentum conserved? When the force acting on the body is 0, right? When force is 0, momentum is going to be a constant. When is the angular momentum is going to be a constant? Whenever the torque acting on the body is 0. L2 is equal to L1. Here L2 is equal to L1. So what is L1? I1 omega 1, formula for angular momentum. L2 I2 omega 2, formula for angular momentum in the second case. The only thing which I want to tell you is I omega will be a constant. I1 omega 1 is equal to I2 omega 2 का मतलब है I omega हो जाएगा. अरे किधर गए? क्यों किया हमारा? हाँ क्यों कर रहा है तंग बोर्ड मुझे, है ना? I omega will be a constant. When the torque acting on the body is 0. How many of you now can explain the variation in speed while that lady is stretching the hand and closing in her hands? Can anyone tell me the answer? किसी को अरे मेरा phone भी off हो गया. Now I can't check the chat box also. Anyway, is there any method by any one of you can tell me why there is a difference in speed while she is stretching out her hands and taking her hands in? I'll tell you. Let's say when that lady is rotating, ऐसे, okay, I'm not going to rotate, मैं तो गिर जाएगा, and I know that you all are waiting there to laugh on me. Okay, so that lady was rotating actually with her hands extended like this, let's say with a particular value of omega. Okay, right, and she will be having a particular value of moment of inertia also. The moment or the time at which she takes in her hands, matlab if she fold her hands, what is going to decrease? Yes, the distribution of the mass will decrease. If the distribution of the mass decreases, do you remember the formula of I mr square? R will decrease, है ना, the moment she fold her hands. If R decreases, क्या decrease हो जाएगा? I भी decrease हो जाएगा. But you have to know that no one is rotating her externally. Matlab the torque acting on the lady is 0. If the torque is 0, what has to be a constant? I omega has to be a constant there. Yes or no? बोल दे हाँ सर बिल्कुल I omega constant होना ही चाहिए. लेकिन the moment she folded her hands, because of the decrease of R, I तो decrease हो गया. If I has decreased, for making this as a constant, what should be happening to omega? हाँ omega का value बढ़ना चाहिए. It has to increase. That is the reason the moment she fold her hands, I increases, and to keep I omega as a constant, omega increases, and she'll start rotating with a larger omega. ये भी समझ में आ गया? ये भी समझ में आ गया अच्छे से? हाँ बोल ले with a smile. So conservation of angular momentum happens whenever the torque acting on the body is 0. When torque is equal to 0, angular momentum is conserved. I1 omega 1 is equal to I2 omega 2 और I omega हो जाएगा constant. ठीक है? हाँ बिल्कुल अच्छे से, कोई गलती नहीं, कोई गड़बड़ नहीं, अच्छे से समझ में आ गया. I can't even look into the chat box also, else I'll be explaining a concept and I'll be running to the phone like this and will be looking whether you have given me the right answer or not. So yes, I hope you all are satisfied till here. Do you want to do a question? Question करना है क्या? हाँ एक तो question करेगा. Okay, a small question. Okay, देख ले. A wheel of moment of inertia I and radius r is rotating about its axis at an angular speed of omega naught. Okay, so if I write the initial value of angular momentum, how much will it be? Its moment of inertia and its omega naught, which means its angular speed. Okay, it picks up a stationary particle of mass m at its edge. This is the disk and this was its initial angular momentum. Now it was rotating about its center. To this body, what is happening is a body of mass m, is it mass m? Yes, a body of small mass m is kept extremely at the edge of this particular wheel. Question is, once this is kept, what is the value of this omega, or what is omega dash will be? Once I keep this, tell me, is there any external torque we are putting? Are we trying to rotate the wheel or something? कुछ नहीं. We are not doing anything to change the omega value. But as torque is equal to 0, as we are not trying to rotate it, right? Torque is equal to 0. इसका मतलब हाँ, initial angular momentum will be equal to final angular momentum. Initial angular momentum कितना है? I omega naught, right? Final angular momentum will be equal to the moment of inertia into omega dash. Okay, why I didn't write I directly here? Is it the moment of inertia the same as before? If it was same as before, omega wouldn't be changing, है ना? So tell me what is the new value of moment of inertia? अरे Initially there was I already there, which is associated with the wheel. Now along with the wheel, an extra mass of m is also started to come, and this is will be rotate. This is a particle, right? A particle mass, and it is rotating with a distance of r. इसका moment of inertia कितना है? mr square. So after this mass is kept, there are two moment of inertia of this wheel I and moment of inertia of this particle mr square. So total हो जाएगा after you keep this I plus mr square. बस. So I omega naught is equal to I dash omega dash, if you want to write it in two steps. I dash, the new value of I is I plus m r square ओमेगा डैश. इधर से ओमेगा डैश का वैल्यू हो गया आई ओमेगा नॉट बाय आई प्लस एम आर स्क्वायर. हो गया तो हो गया, आंसर तो हो गया, मज़ा भी आ गया, है ना? मज़ा आ गया बिल्कुल. ओके. नाउ I'll tell you one more important thing to everyone here in the classroom. कल Friday. Sir, what is so much special about Friday? Array, tomorrow we are going to revise the motion in a plane, which is one of the important topic for your examinations. So kal kar raha hai, not just the revision, we'll be mainly doing the formula revision. We'll be looking at all the formulas, and then we'll be doing multiple choice questions as mentee. So kal 8 baje we'll be meeting with the mentee quiz for the chapter of motion in a plane as a revision. आप सब लोग आ जाएगा, है ना? और क्या सर? बिल्कुल बिल्कुल आ जाएगा. Okay, so special classes for this week is over. These are the new batches. Whichever batches you want to fit in, जल्दी से आपको join कर सकता है. And whenever you join, if you want 10% of discount, आपको पता है क्या use करना है. Yes, the symbol code for using and getting 10% of discount is AMB10. Use कर ले, get 10% of discount आराम से, get a subscription and have a smile on your faces, because that smile will tell that, or is telling that, you are going to be joining in the colleges whichever you're dreaming about very soon. Okay. Yes. And let me ask you before I sign out, have you all shown some love towards Ameer sir? Have you all given the like towards Ameer sir? Those who haven't, click on that like button. That is the only simple way of showing some love towards me, right? And towards physics. And if you are understanding everything, yes, that is another way for giving the like button. Okay. Now, I assigned you a small task yesterday. How many of you do remember? Whenever you come to tomorrow's class, do tell to all your friends. Okay, share the classes with your friend. Tell that, हाँ मेरा भाई, मेरा दोस्त रोटेशनल मोशन चल रहा है. ओके, अमीर सर के साथ आ जाइए, और अमीर भैया के साथ रोटेशन मोशन कर रहा है, तो आ जाइए आप. We can learn together and we can learn a lot. Okay, and don't forget, tomorrow is a special day. Take all your friends for tomorrow's Mendy quiz, right? So we are going to enjoy a lot in tomorrow's class. So thank you so much everyone. We'll be meeting in tomorrow's class, and do subscribe to this channel so that you will get the notification. And signing out from Unacademy. Let's crack it. Bye everyone. Good night.